Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Jillian with JillyJuice.com. Happy Monday. It is a beautiful day. Definitely some interesting things on the horizon. We are definitely entering into a major global reset, major mind, body, or body, mind, and spirit reset. And yesterday was quite interesting. After I woke up really, really early, and then I checked my email. Actually, I get emails from people coming through my business page. And when you go through an email from my business page, you are essentially writing from your specific email box. Okay. Now, I get people that use throwaway emails, but anytime you create an email address, it is either linked to a bunch of other email addresses you have, or it is something that stands alone. And sometimes I'll get people that do stupid stuff, say stupid stuff through emails that stands alone, that I just block and delete and not even worry about it. Others, people be really stupid and they want to say really stupid stuff, and then I'll forward on to the FBI if it's a credible threat. But yesterday, it was very interesting. Somebody tried to make it sound like they were anonymous, and like they were part of the anonymous, those people that wear the masks, and those type of people are all over Facebook. And it's hard to really gauge who they, like, really where they originated from. Some people say the actual origination was from like the Bolsheviks type, or from like some communist where they're tired of the bourgeoisie, the bougie people, bourgeois, I guess, class, and they're part of the proletariat trying to take back their world or something like that. And then others are trying to use the word anonymous and try to be like anonymous, to act as if they were the balancing force against those that seek to oppress, or those that are harming people and all that type of thing. So then there's people that are posers. There are people that pretend like they're anonymous. They like the idea of it. They find it fascinating to go and terrorize people they don't agree with, under the auspice that they are trying to help society. And I came from the holistic world. Okay, I came from the holistic world, and because I thought that the holistic world offered something better than the allopathic world. And when I broke everything down, to an elemental state, to a mineral state, I noticed that there was no difference between the holistic world and the allopathic world. It's just a matter of how they packaged up the minerals and the elements and the fatty acids, and then presented them to a bunch of different people. So then you hear like all the different holistic naturopathics and the doctors, the anti-vax doctors, that are saying, oh yeah, the allopathic people, or the big pharma is killing off the holistic professionals and inducing fear in the population, creating this narrative that there's this death squad of big pharma people that are secretly or obviously going after anyone that finds something that's alternative to big pharma. Well, turns out that when you break everything down to an elemental state, turmeric and honey and spices and colloidal silver and like baking soda and all of that, when you break everything down, it's no different than the type of antibiotics that are being put out there by the big pharma. Like, there really is no difference. So why? And so when they're doing, like, what is this for the MTFR and I forget, some kind of G thing, whatever, where they were injecting something in the body to counter autism. It's like a vaccine or some kind of stem cell therapy. The holistic people were saying, oh yeah, this is something revolutionary from this doctor, and then he was suicided because he thought of something that the holistic, or the the allopathic world, Big Pharma didn't know about. And so all these doctors are dying. When people die every day, how you characterize a death is based upon how you want to spin the information to portray a specific agenda. So I'm just like, I'm just thinking like, our doctors are dying, librarians are dying, firemen are dying, lawyers are dying, teachers are dying. They happen to be a doctor who happens to be a holistic person who promotes cannabis. They happen to die. But no, people in the holistic world, to promote their agenda, to make it seem like their product is something so amazing that if they get people to believe that Big Pharma is going after all these different doctors that have some kind of alternative method, that it makes their product more credible. And that's no different than now with the whole thing with the J juice. Because when you break everything down to an elemental state, you'll realize everything in the holistic world is no different than the allopathic world as far as the pills, powder, supplements, prescription drugs, and all the different tonics. Okay, it's just in a different form. It might be in a more raw form. It might be in a different composition using the same type of elements, but every food, every medicine is still broken down to fatty acid, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And then all of biodiversity is made up of viruses, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, parasites, and protein. And so you have imbalances or balances in your body that will either be, you have maybe overabundance of minerals or an underabundance of hormones, and you have hormonal imbalances. I mean, everybody, hey Melrose, everybody has different biochemistries. But when you have an imbalance in one, it's a chain reaction with all the others. And it's just a matter of, okay, with functional medicine or with the naturopathics that give you all these different tests, say, oh yeah, you're deficient in this, 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 and this, so you need to avoid this and take this and do this. No different than when some doctor says, okay, well, you have this, 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 and this, and you take this, 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 and this. I mean, when you take away their titles and you just look at what they are actually prescribing and advising to their clients, it's no different. Just one happens to have a different form of the elements than the other. That's the only difference between a naturopathic and a doctor, like a regular general practitioner. Okay? And obviously, if a holistic professional sees somebody that has really aggressive issues, they're going to go and say, hey, go to the ER, go see a specialist, because this is out of my jurisdiction. So even the naturopathics only can, advise you on a very limited basis. They're just there to kind of get people a very superficial type of band-aid for whatever ails them. So yesterday, some little MLMer, okay, who sells these stupid little products like strawberry foam baths, okay, wanted to make it sound like to me that she has all these people, anonymous, that are watching me, and didn't think that I'm going to investigate her email address on my own, because like anything, there are unique identifiers. Now, obviously, if someone has a throwaway email and they want to say some bullshit, well, then I'll send it to the FBI and totally ignore it and be done with it. But she sent it through my business account, okay? And my business account, which is through the business website, it picks up whatever her email address is. And she works from pretty much basically one in the UK. It basically brought up all of her profiles on Facebook, as well as all of her business stuff, okay, on Facebook. And it shows like she actually has her email address posted on her website, her business page on Facebook. So she didn't think I would actually know who the hell she was once I did more investigation. I still sent it off to the FBI, and the FBI will deal with Interpol if she really truly is somebody, that is doing it to other people. Because bullies don't just attack one person. They find their other competition and they go and pretend to be something they're not. So this is why I'm saying to you guys, don't listen to the bully tactics of the holistic world, because the whole perception of that Big Pharma is out to get the holistic world is a bunch of bullshit. No different than that little girl who sits in her house and sells her little MLMs to her 107 person group, okay, with 27 likes on her business page, trying to act like she's all big when she really is just somebody that doesn't like the fact that I'm exposing what the hell she's selling. Holistic products are no different than the freaking allopathic. So I stopped buying holistic specialty stuff, and I'm using, you know, I mean, Irish Spring, I'm using whatever's at Walmart. Okay, now if you have allergic reactions to anything, then obviously you stay away from certain products because you have imbalances that you have to rectify. But at some point down the road, when you finally get yourself healed and sealed and you purge out all that stuff that's causing your inflammation, guess what? You can use detergents. You can use air fresheners. You can use regular shampoos and conditioners. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg on some specialty soap. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg on some freaking humidifier or essential oil. Okay, it smells good, but it's no different. It's still antibiotic. For some people, you know, it's still going to kill or control some of the bacteria in your environment, but you need bacteria. Bacteria should not be something that you kill. It's something that you control and that you adapt to. Okay? And so, yeah, so what she did yesterday really had me think about the holistic industry. And yeah, I've promoted people on my Facebook that are part of the holistic world that sell soaps and sell stuff, and that's fine. They can do it. That's fine. Everybody has a place in this world. You got to have a marketing gimmick. You got to have an angle. You got to find something to set you apart from the crowd, but not at the expense of somebody else, not at the expense of your clientele. Now, could you sell your product and not mislead people into saying that it's healthier than the store-bought stuff like Walmart? I mean, no, because who's to determine what is healthier? Everyone has a different biochemistry. Now, obviously, if it was something that was poisonous, the FDA wouldn't approve it. It wouldn't have gone through the commercially driven process that those products that are sold in mass proportions are sold in. They would have to go through an FDA standard type of thing. It has to go through animal testing or human testing. It has to go through all these different trials. No different than vaccines. Have to go through different trials. Okay? So if you're allergic to anything, no matter what, whether it's in the holistic world or the allopathic world, that's your own mismanagement of your own biochemistry that you got to deal with. Okay? So yeah, so she tried to act like she tried to tell me to take my information down. That's what people who are afraid of the competition, who really don't have anything to offer the world except for some stupid little product that everybody else is selling too, and they try to bully their competition. That's exactly what happens in the holistic world. The allopathics don't do that because they already know they have the product. They have the FDA approval. They have the testing, the double-blind studies, all of that stuff that's in the allopathic world. So if anything, if you want to find credibility, you'll find it in the freaking FDA-approved allopathic world, not the holistic world. The holistic world actually is far more dangerous. And that little girl, what she's selling and her ideas that she's selling is far more dangerous. It's not about the salt that she was really concerned about. Oh, we found that your stuff is proven to harm people. And we're gonna, you know, she's trying to scare me into thinking that the UK is gonna extradite me over there and face my crimes. I'm like, what the fuck? But no, what she's selling and what she's doing is far more dangerous because all of her products have gone through, yes, FDA approval process, but she's touting as if there was something even more so with her products than other stuff, than even the FDA approved, or even the allopathic stuff. Okay, so whatever she's doing is no different than what everybody else is doing out there that is trying to find an angle, but she's taking it a step further. She is now trying to promote terroristic activities amongst the competition. And that's exactly what the holistic world is trying to accuse the allopathics. But actually, when you think about it, it's the holistic people that actually are terrorizing each other, and then somebody's pinning blame to the allopathic world. Because Big Pharma doesn't give a shit about some little holistic person. They don't give a shit. They know they're just a bunch of little people that are trying to make a name for themselves. And they know that there are doctors that are on the payroll, like Del Bigtree and the Truth About Cancer type of people. They're on the payroll to totally spin the market in their direction. They're making good money off it. Del Bigtree is making a shit ton of money. So is the Truth About Cancer people are making a shit ton of money off of make people think that there's a difference between the two. Oh, don't get the chemotherapy and the antibiotics that'll do this, this, and this. But oh yeah, take turmeric and honey and kombucha. And even though, yeah, it's not as aggressive as some of these pharmaceuticals for people who have very aggressive issues, when somebody has imbalances, it's going to trigger, it's going to leave them open and then trigger certain kind of cancers, disease, and chronic illness. When someone's taking a bunch of colloidal silver right now because they're trying to, guard against the coronavirus, they're causing more heavy metal toxicity in their body, leaving them open for that virus to come in and totally wreak havoc. So even though correlation doesn't equal causation, sometimes where it's obvious, where when someone's taking so much colloidal silver, or so much kombucha, or so much apple cider vinegar, or so much of the turmeric and honey, the predispositions are what is going to be the correlation equals causation, but you won't be able to pinpoint it to the colloidal silver. No different than why they don't test for the coronavirus in Ohio, because if they can just blame it on the flu and say it's a flu-like symptoms, we're not going to see you because we don't want to catch it. Nobody has to know what really caused someone's death or what caused someone's pneumonia. Okay, so what the holistic people are doing is no different than what our government's doing by not testing to see what the catalyst is for pneumonia, heart attacks, and strokes. So there's no fear. Believe me, if someone wants to approach me, they'll get a gun to, I have guns, okay, but I'm not going to, I don't promote doing anything like that as far as being an aggressor, but I defend myself. And so if anyone wants to approach me in any way, shape, or form, come on my property, do whatever, they'll get a gun. That's it. Okay? But it's not going to come to that. So I don't want you guys thinking, oh, Jillian, be very careful. I'm as careful as anybody else out there when you're in a world full of weird ass people. But but that's the perception that young lady wanted to terrorize me, thinking that I'm just like, that I just came onto the scene not knowing anything. I've been around this for 4 years. I've had people send me all these different things. I had people do all this crap, whatever. I'm not totally concerned about all that. Okay. It's like, no, I'm not new at this. The FBI knows me. The CIA knows me. My own government here knows me. The police know me. Everybody knows me. Okay. And, I'm pretty much well protected, but I'm not going to live in a bubble. I'm not going to not speak out. I'm not going to take down my website. I'm not going to take down my business page. I'm going to keep exposing the holistic industry for what it is, because it's a bunch of bullshit. And I never thought I would go down this road, but the more that I see their tactics, the holistic industry's tactics, the more I'm not impressed by them, the more I'm thinking, you know what, really the allopathic industry, even though, yeah, people are afraid of the vaccines and the procedures, but you know what, at least you know what you're going to get from the allopathic industry. You don't know what you're going to get from the holistic industry. They sell you one thing, but it really does another. The holistic industry or the allopathic industry will tell you the side effects. When you read on a prescription medication, the side effects are right there. When you do any kind of procedure, they will tell you the downsides to every drug, every prescription, everything that you could be encountering if you take on a procedure with the allopathic. The holistic industry, there is no list of side effects. Oh, it's natural. Oh no, they don't say that. If you use this, if you overuse this, or if you have imbalances, if you have predispositions in this, and this, you could potentially trigger this, and this. Oh no, you don't see that with the holistic world. They're like, oh, it's natural, so take as much as you want. Overtake it if you need to, because it's so aggressive out there. That's what's more dangerous. That is the danger of our society, is the holistic people out there promoting their little MLMs, acting as if everything was gone through an aggressive process where they should be listing out the side effects for their colloidal silver, for their little foam baths, the little strawberry foam baths that they're selling. Okay, so, whatever. But you got to know that is the angle of the competitive holistic world bully fear tactics. And so, I don't promote any violence against anybody. I don't promote terrorizing anybody. That's why I didn't really put her whole business page for you guys to see who she is and her phone number and email address. I said just enough that if you want to research her, you could find her if you really wanted to. But I don't want to terrorize her. She's just a young kid. She's stupid. She thought that she could pretend to be something that she isn't. And then when I found out who she is, I exposed everything. Because there's nothing secret about Jilly Juice. People make all these claims all the time about Jilly Juice. But when you look at what is driving a person, what their motivation is, you realize that they have something to lose. Even though it's a little tiny business that she has, she feels like it's something to lose. Because when someone says that, hey, your products are no different than the allopathic, it's still full of heavy metals, it's still full of trace minerals, that's not exactly a selling point. That's why they don't call it heavy metals in the holistic industry when it comes to all of their pills, powder, supplements, and detoxes, and whatever, things they use on their face. They call it trace minerals because the body needs it. I mean, I've read some of the marketing angles from some of these products, and they call it trace minerals. Oh, it's something that the body needs. Yeah, but if you have an overabundance of it, well, maybe you don't need as much as that they're saying, or you're not going to need really, you should be using this. Okay, but no, that's their marketing gimmick, is trace minerals. It's what the body needs. Just like they say, why is pink salt healthier? Oh, it has the sodium, it has the minerals, it has the magnesium, it has all this, and it's so healthy for the body. Well, I've done, when you do the Jilly Juice, all those minerals, it makes your poop smellier. It taxes your system, though you can still heal because the sodium's in it. And sometimes that's why some of the ferments tasted worse than others, just so you guys know, when you're using the pink salt, because you may have gotten more minerals in one scoop and may have gotten more sodium in another scoop. That's probably why you can never really get a consistent, really good tasting ferment, because of the fact that the concentration of minerals that were in the pink salt that you may have gotten during those times that you scooped it in. Okay? And so now we realize that all of those minerals are actually, actually stagnate. And people are like, oh, I have heavy metal toxicity because it's doing this, and they're taking aluminum silicate. Oh yeah, I need to detox from my heavy metal toxicity, so I'm gonna take a bunch of freaking heavy metals to detox the heavy metals. That is the whole point of the holistic industry, is to take heavy metals to kill heavy, or to detox from the heavy metals. It's completely asinine. And I've exposed it because bentonite clay is like aluminum silicate. Diatomaceous earth is all a bunch of silica, very condensed mineral, horrific for you on a massive basis if people are taking it. What else? I mean, yeah, you're getting acetic acid in vinegars, but the vinegars have more. See, here's the thing. Acid is not bad in of itself, because there's probiotic acid. There's lactic acid in probiotics, or in the Jilly Juice. Okay. The cabbage and the kale and then the salt create a far more intense acid, as opposed to some of the other types of mediums, like other vegetables that are used in fermentation. But you need the lactic acid, but then it gets countered and controlled by the salinity in the J juice. But when you're drinking like kombucha and apple cider vinegar, it's just straight up acid, but there's no balancing force of electrolytes or salt. So it's straight up sugar or vinegar and acid, lactic acid. So that's a total acid storm on a body that's already acidic. That's why, and then of course nematodes and parasites can grow in that. So that's why it's the holistic world is so asinine in the way in which they promote their stuff, because it's all about overdoing it when you don't know the type of imbalances you have. So you're taking so much silver, so you're taking so many minerals, so many heavy metals, or you're taking so much acid, so condensed, and then maybe you're doing a saltwater flush, somewhere else here. And then you're doing some kind of like fasting or eating only organic. Like I'm watching somebody right now that all they buy is organic fruits and vegetables, and they, and that organic fruit and vegetable is costing like $30 for like maybe 5 things. $30 for like 5. I mean, I can get the same stuff for like maybe $10, but they're paying an arm and a freaking leg for organic. Okay, so it's less minerals, but then you're breathing the air. Oh, but they're not drinking the tap water. So they're drinking probably reverse osmosis, maybe distilled water, but they're taking all their supplements. all of their pills and their powders and their supplements, and they live in like, LA, so they're getting all the minerals that way, but not really, okay? And so they don't know how to configure their environment to work for them, so it doesn't cost so much as well as work against them. That's the total just asinine, I don't say acid, okay. That's a total disconnect with the holistic industry, is they are configuring the elements incorrectly. They don't know their biochemistry. They're listening to professionals who are selling them an exercise regime, an idea that if they were to eat organic and drink distilled water or reverse osmosis water, unless they live in Flint, and of course I understand, and if they mitigate against meat, that it's going to be healthier, as they are getting sick from some kind of flu out there in California. They're getting totally sick by some kind of coronavirus. They're being taken down by all these different colds and flus and viruses and whatever else, but yet they're sticking to their organic because it's healthier, but yet they're not very healthy. They can't even handle the freaking environment that they live in. And then they're starving themselves and their children too. They're starving their kids. Oh, my kid doesn't eat meat. My kid only eats a carrot and eats this. My kid only eats this, and this, and that's it. I don't give her too much sugar. I don't give her too much salt. I don't give her too much meat. So all she gets is, just this nice little medley of vegetables and fruits, and that's it. Maybe a little bit of carbs here and there. And that kid is so skinny. How are they going to be able to stand up to this environment? You hope that they'll survive the environment with the amount of food that's being taken away from them, because the parents are under the impression that the holistic world has all the answers, because they've been following people like Del Bigtree. They've been following people like the Truth About Cancer people. They've been following the holistic world and how they're spinning and making a name for themselves in an angle. Oh yeah, the holistic people are dying. The holistic doctors are dying. They're being suicided by the big pharma, who doesn't give a shit about the freaking holistic people. But the FDA does, because what they're doing is they're harming people. The FDA is trying to come down on all the different, essential oil salesmen that are making all these claims. Oh yeah, if you put the essential oil in these little caplets, it's going to make you feel better, as it's destroying their gut. Rendering the bacteria chemically inert, so it works against you, allowing the viruses to come in and take over, and then control and create anomalies, instead of saying, okay, we'll allow the virus to come in for a little bit, but we'll control the data. So, that's when a person is very healed and sealed, that they can take on the data of the virus, but it doesn't control every aspect of them. The body knows how to work symbiotically with that information. And then when you have too much of that data, the body then releases through either autophagy, where you're, pooping, or you're peeing, or you're mucusing. That's the way the body calibrates when it gets information that it doesn't need. Okay? But no, when somebody is unhealthy and they are taking these stupid little, capsules full of essential oils because it helps them, it renders the bacteria inert, chemically inert, so it doesn't work for you at all. And then it almost like it paralyzes the bacteria, and then the viruses come in and they dictate everything. They control, and then they replicate and replicate and replicate. And that's where cancer comes from, is the fact that the body is rendered inert from the antibiotics sold in the essential oil salesman, sold through the turmerics and the honeys and all of the colloidal silvers and the cannabis, all of that. Those things basically render your body inert from being able to fight and produce the necessary mucus, produce and allow your body to release the excess and fix the weaknesses. And so people are progressively in the holistic world becoming older and older. Just look at Rick Simpson. If you want to see an example of somebody promoting their wares of antibiotics and controlling the cancer with cannabis, look at Rick Simpson. Look at all the exercise gurus. Look at Klinghardt. Look at those that are promoting all of their turmerics and honeys and their love, and they are aging, degrading. They have no hair, maybe obese. There's a ton of evidence to show what the holistic world, what they exemplify when they're promoting their wares. what it does to their body. Because they're doing it to themselves, not only to promote it to others, they do it themselves. They take their own product. I take my own recipe and I feel amazing. My body, I mean, here's the thing, at some point you guys will figure out your body. Don't be afraid of your body. You will figure out every aspect of your body, but you have to not be afraid of your body. If you're afraid of anything on your body, then you'll never heal, because there's so much stigma with people exploring their own bodies for whatever reason, that people do not know how things work internally, how things work externally, and then then things don't work correctly. They don't know how to exercise certain muscles in the body, mind, and spirit. And so, that's why in a lot of ways, I'm glad that the white salt, which is the most powerful mineral on this earth, is what we've changed to, because some people need an extra oomph as far as pushing all that crap, that bacteria that's excess, all of the excess minerals and things that your body has been holding on to for years, because people have plateaued on the pink salt because of the amount of heavy metals that are in it. Okay. And so when you get just straight one mineral or two minerals compound, which is the sodium chloride, and it's matched the cabbage and kale and the water, and it's fermented. It's a very powerful force, but your body has to get used to the new environment. So it's going to, in the beginning, it's going to almost like starting over again in a lot of ways. For some of you, you may feel constipation in the beginning until your body gets used to this new entity, which is the white salt. But once you finally get past that, where the body finally adjusts, that white salt is going to be amazing. Because I actually, when I take little shots of it. I don't do a lot, but that a little goes a long way for me. Some of you are like in your 60s and you have a lot of issues. And yes, anytime you change your diet or change something in the recipe, it's going to, cause a little upset of homeostasis. And you might exhibit some characteristics like you had in the beginning, where you might feel constipation. You might, who knows, you might have even more of an aggressive reaction because of the energy that's behind the white salt. But no matter what, the body will adjust to this new environment, and it'll adjust even more so. But yes, I've experienced everything with the white salt. First, a little constipation, but not too bad, because my body's still able to eliminate, but it's like it's a new entity that's in the environment. But I also get the amazing energy from that white salt, like even just a little bit. So it's almost like it's even better than coffee, because it just wakes up your brain. Everything is electrified. And then all the minerals and the nutrients in the body go to the respective places to kind of keep up and make sure that anything that was dying overnight, because even tiny cells can die, they get regenerated. Because you're constantly, going from one room to the other. Anytime a movement is like, I'm saying it's dying, but it's energy being used. So your body is constantly adjusting to environments. And if you have enough minerals, enough nutrients, the body can stay with, stay in equilibrium. But it's those that are not on the J juice, that are dealing with the elements out there, that are dealing with pain and all of that, that are going to be utilizing the resources in your body, stealing from the hair, skin, nails, and bones. And even though they're not doing anything, hello, good morning, Emily. Even though they're not doing anything, actively to regenerate or actively bringing in the reserves, they have enough, kind of, sort of, but you're seeing the aging process set in. What is the aging process? When the body has malabsorption and it steals from the hair, skin, and nails and bones. So you start, and then obviously the body is systematically breaking down. Well, we don't have to go down that road if you heal and seal and then purge out the excess poop, the excess fatty acid, amino acids, prohormones, minerals, which is basically in your poop and in your mucus. The antibodies are in your mucus and in your poop and all of that. Okay. So when you watch people around you deal with this coronavirus or influenza A and B, whatever, okay, and they're not taking anything for it, but they just want to like heal on their own, the body is still taking resources from main areas to keep the vital organs going. But at some point it's going to stop, because you only have so much. It's not like when the rate of malabsorption is far greater than the rate of absorption. That's called the second law of thermodynamics. That's called the aging process. That's when you have a wasted energy source that you're not utilizing correctly. The first law of thermodynamics is the fact that energy cannot be created or destroyed, okay, but it can be transferred and it can be converted. The second law is that people are misusing the energy and they're not regenerating and they're trying to steal it, but then the body doesn't know what to do with it because you haven't trained it to hold on to it. And so it releases. Okay. And so with the whole thing with the J juice too, is that we're able with the conspiracy world, because this is for Krista. You know, I definitely made sure you guys got off the conspiracy train until you can substantiate what truly is going on. Okay, as far as what you can see. And so so now with the whole thing with the J juice is that you will see how, you know, that these indicators that are out there, you will start looking at the evidence that's right in front of you versus the stories that are on the internet. What's the evidence right in front of you? People are dying around you. They're dying from flus. They're dying from heart attacks. They're dying from strokes. Why are they dying from heart attacks, strokes, and flus? Because of some kind of virus in the environment. Or their body had so much of an imbalance in their fatty acids, and maybe that one piece of fried chicken that had a bunch of fatty acid put them over the top and caused a heart attack. But whatever, correlation doesn't equal causation, but you can kind of narrow down the suspect if you did a titer test to see, was there a new virus in the environment that created that antibody that put them over the edge? Okay, and so there's evidence to suggest that this coronavirus everybody's talking about on the news and things that you hear and read, now you can apply to your immediate world. You know, still there are stories out there that you can't substantiate. You can only hear from the news. You can only hear from like other people. But when you watch yourself go through, you know, whatever virus that's in the environment, that's why I kind of knew that the coronavirus is here, because I dealt with a major aggressive mucus attack that was so unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And I also felt a little malaise too, you know, a couple weekends ago. But my body was strong enough to fight it and release the excess, that it was just a very mild adjustment to the new environment, whatever it was. I never got it tested. I don't want to get it tested. I don't really care. But that's what I'm saying, is that you guys will experience in your own personal body, mind, and spirit what the environment is like, because you will be the canary in the coal mine. If you get affected by something in the environment, then you know others that are even worse off than you are going to get affected, and even more so. So I knew back a month ago when I got that mucus attack, that there was something in the environment that is causing people to drop like flies, which then supports and substantiates what mainstream media and what all these YouTube channels and all these people that are talking about the coronavirus, it supports then what's going on now. As far as, you know, martial law and the food shortages, well, yeah. You know, if they're quarantined, you can't move around and everyone's freaking panicking and thinking that, you know, that they're gonna be quarantined and they can't move and they can't do this and they can't do that. They're gonna go shop. That's just a natural reaction, is they're gonna go and shop and find as much food as they can and hoard in some way, much as they can afford. And when you have, you know, a lot of people deluging on a grocery store, yeah, you're gonna have a food shortage. Okay, so I mean, that's just natural right there. It's not something that you read and that you're like, oh, okay. No, you see what the natural reaction is when people are panicked about some kind of global pandemic. The grocery stores and the arms and the guns and the hoarding, all that stuff start happening. Okay, so it's not like I've cured you from the conspiracy world. No, it's more like I'm actually having you now look and substantiate through your own body, mind, and spirit, taking it from here, not taking it from the internet, but now you feel the environment around you. So that's substantiated. And then you realize that people are going to be, especially with the news and all this stuff, people are going to be kind of fearful, especially when the news substantiates in your ear. And that's why they haven't said too much about Ohio. I know Ohio has the coronavirus, but they're not substantiating it. They're going to allow people to just think that it's the flu. Oh, they died from the flu. You're not going to see a communist style type of draconian measures in America, I don't believe, because it's easier to make people think that it's the flu, to where someone just happens to pass away at home. They go to the ER. That's what happened just the other day. I was reading somebody's Facebook and they're like, oh my God, rest in peace, person. And I'm looking at it, and they went to stat care the day before, and they had like, a major chest infection. Like they felt like such pressure in their chest, in their lungs. They go to stat care, and then the next day they died from a heart attack. That's the reality of how the virus is going to affect the West. You will have the freedom to die at home. You'll have the freedom to go to, you can go to the ER, and then the poor ER doctors are going to be like, oh my God, and they're going to get affected. So at some point, they're going to stop that, because even the hospital staff don't want to get infected. So I'm sure when you think about it, something's going to happen right there. And then, then it's calling your doctor, who you'll have a teledoc that will tell you, okay, well, here's a prescription for this, this, and this. Go home, drink fluids, electrolytes, drink soup, and go rest. Because now your body's going to have to figure it out for itself. Because there's nothing that the big pharma is going to be able to do. Not even the holistic world can do anything for you, except make things worse. So then, you can't really go to the doctor. I don't know if they're going to have some kind of measures against people going to the hospital. So then, are they going to stop movement? Are they going to then limit your movement? And if that happens, then it's like, that's when people start panicking about the grocery stores. So it happens in stages. Limiting movement where you can't even go to the hospital, because they won't allow anybody to go to the hospital because they don't want to catch whatever's out, especially if there's a confirmed case. If there's a confirmed case in any area, they're going to limit people from going to the hospital, because even the hospital staff don't want to catch it. So I don't know if that really is going to happen, but you kind of feel sorry for first responders. You kind of feel sorry for the hospital staff. And so will they put a moratorium on that? Potentially. And they say, hey, if you have any kind of flu-like symptoms, here's a Z-Pack, or who knows? Are they going to create like massive Z-Packs? So, it's just like, it's so hard to really gauge and predict what's going to happen. But if you kind of see that at some point the government's going to find ways to control it, even though it's really out of control, but they'll find ways to just stop people from deluging. And if you can't deluge on a hospital, then they're not going to have you deluge on the grocery store. And if they want to stop people from moving, will they eventually, for Emily, will they eventually, say nobody goes to school, nobody goes to church, nobody can go into large, areas where everybody's like congregating together? That could happen too. So, and that's great. You're giving your son a teaspoon of it a day. That's great. Or a tablespoon. But yeah, but it's already out there. That's the thing, you guys. It's the coronavirus is already out there. It's a matter of, are you going to get tested for it? No different than like the AIDS test. We knew it's out there, but did you really want to know if you've been exposed to it? Because once you know you've been exposed to it and you test positive, then it's right there. Because when you test positive for AIDS or anything else, then there's going to be other complications. No different than like any antibody. You get exposed to an antibody, your body goes through its adaptation, and you may have a lot more antibodies where you test positive, or you might not have as much and you have mild symptoms, but it's not really that aggressive, so no big deal. But when somebody tests positive or they have symptoms, it means there's a lot of antibodies that's causing inflammation, and that is the body trying to adjust. And that's how the anti-vaxxers have misconstrued the vaccine world, is because the kid got some kind of reaction, but that's how it's supposed to happen. But how aggressive the reaction is based upon the kid's immune system. If their immune system is very weak and they don't have enough natural immunity from the mom, yes, they're going to have a major reaction. But if the kid is pretty strong and has a good, natural immunity from the mother, then the kid's going to have a very mild reaction. But you're going to have a reaction no matter what. It's a matter of how severe or how benign based upon the biochemistry, relatively how strong or how weak you are. No different than with this coronavirus. Okay? So, so the government's going to assume at some point that everybody is at risk, to where movement, and I don't know when they would gauge where society, is going to go back to normal. But I already feel in my bones, in my gut, that right now we can't be comfortable. We can't pretend it's not existing. Some people are pretending like they're like the orchestra on the Titanic. oh, let's just pretend everything is normal. We'll just play the music and do whatever. And nobody's preparing. Nobody's really just taking care of themselves. They're just waiting for the government to tell them to worry about something. Okay, fine. That's one way to handle it. But, I have friends that are like that. And I know, and I have a community of people that I belong to, that they're very heavily armed and know how to hunt and fish. And so I'm kind of glad I'm part of that community. Okay, because you're going to have to find your people. You're going to have to find, safety is in numbers. Safety is in knowing how to get food. Safety is in knowing how to help people and heal. Okay, and what do you have to contribute to even a small community? If we were ever quarantined for a certain amount of time, because you have a people of 100,000 can, well, I don't know. I mean, when you think about the National Guard for each state, they probably already have it mapped out where everybody is. Okay, and then they go into each town, inducing curfew and martial law. I don't think it's going to get to a point where it becomes that dystopian, where it's like Mad Max and everyone like congregates that. But I mean, that's the worst case scenario. But you got to know the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. Best case scenario that we're all back to normal, whatever that is. Worst case scenario is like we're like Mad Max, Thunderdome, which no, I don't want to go there either. But there'd be some kind of degree in between, normalcy and Thunderdome. And you just have to just have your worst case scenario in the back of your mind. What are you going to do? Who it is that you're going to hang out with? Because safety is in numbers. And then realize that, okay, the government already knows. They've been planning this for years and years and years. I mean, I was doing, operation readiness inspection exercises with chem warfare back in the 90s. So it's already, the plans have been laid out. There are FEMA camps. There are. As far as FEMA caskets, well, probably so, because there's going to be mass casualties, yes. So, just assume all of the conspiracy stuff now is substantiated because you're seeing it in China. You're seeing it happening in America. People are dying, drop like flies. On a mass scale, it hasn't happened yet, but you have to expect it on some level. Okay? And then you just do the best you can to survive it, because let me tell you, it is about survival of the fittest. It is about survival of the fittest. But if you partake in the holistic world, on such an aggressive level, because you're so afraid of this virus. And it's hard for me to really promote JJ. So I promote fermented cabbage juice. I promote sauerkraut in groups. And I've said, hey, go get some top ramen and peanut butter and crackers, okay? And go make some fermented cabbage juice, because you have all of the fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals from all of that, okay? And that is actually a very well-balanced diet. No, it's not in the pretty form like these vegans and vegetarians want you to have it. I mean, there's some guy in there was like, oh, that's junk food. You shouldn't, if you eat junk food, because this girl was asking, or this guy was asking, well, I'm from Missouri and I only make minimum wage. How do you prepare for something like this? I'm like, dude, just go to Walmart. Everything is so inexpensive. You go to Walmart. Go get the Peter Pan peanut butter. Go get some crackers. Go get some top ramen. Go get a bunch of cabbage and kale. Get a bunch of jars. Get some salt. And make some sauerkraut. But I mean, it's hard to tell someone that's so used to eating McDonald's, or so used to eating like spaghetti, and so used to eating all these beautifully jarred foods, to then resort to something like top ramen, to resort to something like peanut butter and jelly and crackers, to resort to sauerkraut, when that's not really part of their everyday taste. But it's the nutrition. Okay, you're still getting the vitamin C, the probiotics, the macronutrition, the salt and all that stuff, the electrolytes. And so you can be very inexpensive and survive whatever is going on, okay, on a massive scale. And if you know how to hunt and fish, like my husband knows how to hunt and fish, he can go and hunt a deer and do what you got to clean the deer and all that stuff. But those that live in inner cities, those are the ways that you can find, that are non-perishable items, okay, that you can survive on. Because the J juice with the white salt, you're not gonna deal with mold, because what creates the mold in the old J juice jars was a stupid pink salt, because all the minerals. When you poop, right, you get all these minerals coming out of your ass. That's what makes your poop smelly. No different than when people were using pink salt with the J juice, their jars were smelly. Well, no shit. It was like one big toilet, but it was a good toilet, because you had a lot of nutrition, but you also had all those minerals that people had to deal with. So now we're taking it, we're strategically making the J juice even more powerful and more direct and strategic. Okay, but you can survive all this. You just have to understand that everything is broken down to fatty acid, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals, and that whatever food, whatever form it's in, whether it's crackers or top ramen, which has a lot of sodium, but you need it anyways, and you have the J juice, and and so if you can live very cheaply with very inexpensive items. Salt is like $7. If you can get $25, 25 pounds for like $10 or 25 bucks, I don't know, something like that, like at Sam's Club or something. But I got my salt for like $7 for 50 pounds. Okay, straight sodium chloride with 1% anti-caking agent, which is basically a mineral. Ferrocyanide is a mineral, and the amount that's in is very safe. It's food grade salt. It's table salt that you get at restaurants. Okay, so you can live very, very inexpensive, very minimal during this whole crisis, but you have to know what to shop for. Don't be shopping for like big things of meat that you have to, unless you're going to cure it and make beef jerky or something. But don't be getting all these frozen items, all these items that are perishable, and all these little fruits and vegetables, because fruits and vegetables, you can get the canned, buy a bunch of canned food. Okay? Buy a bunch of canned food. But if that's even expensive, then just make the Jilly Juice recipe. And then get your top ramen and get all those little, those really inexpensive items. People say, oh, it's so, so unhealthy. It's only unhealthy on bodies that are unhealthy. But when you're drinking the J juice or even having that, like the sauerkraut or whatever, it's going to give you a very wide range of minerals and nutrients and acids that the body needs. Okay. And yeah, some of you are like, well, it's not on the diet. Well, I'm telling you, have that as a backup. Okay, have it as a backup. Have that cheap ass food as a backup, but still stay on the diet until you start hearing things. You start hearing the things that, like, oh, they're saying that you can't go to the hospital. When they say you can't even go to the hospital unless it's like, a life or death, they say you can't go to the hospital if you are for flu-like symptoms, unless you're feeling like, you call, I don't know how they're going to do that. But when they start limiting people to go to the hospital for flu-like symptoms, okay, and how they do that, I have no idea. And then they start, then the military comes in. You start seeing the military coming into your town, because every single state has the Army National Guard and the Air National Guard. When you start seeing boots on the ground in your town, then we're in for a quarantine. We're in for limited movement. So this is why you have backup. And every generation has dealt with something like that. The Great Depression, the flu pandemic. Okay, people with the Great Depression, they were hoarding food because they knew there was food shortages from the Great Depression when there were bread lines. Okay, but we don't have the luxury of people remembering this stuff. So when you have every generation dying off, every 100 years, we don't have the luxury of remembering what it was like when things were going crazy. And so this is like reinventing the wheel again. Oh my God, another potential food shortage. But here we can, and so this is where the canning industry and then the fermentation, industry is where I'm sure where all this, came from. Where it came from is from all those days of food shortages. So, don't be afraid. There's nothing to fear. Just protect you and yours. Be very mindful of your environment. Keep your ear to the news in some way. Don't discount the news. Don't pretend the news is brainwashing you. They're not. They're letting you know what's going on in their controlled way. It's a controlled leak. It's a controlled demolition when you think about it. That's how I characterize this thing, why they're not testing in my city, because it is a controlled demolition. It's easier to chalk it up as a flu than it is to say that we have the coronavirus here. Okay, fine. But now that you know, you just act accordingly, and you keep your ear to the ground, and you don't stick your head in the sand, and just go about your life. Not a big deal, but just be more vigilant, more aware, and still heal. Okay? So I got to go do things. Today's a good day. But anyways, you guys have a great day, and thanks for listening. Hi, Sugar, I see you. And yeah, that's it. All right, bye.